What's up, guys? If you love that tape sound, this is a good day. UAD most popular and most beloved plugin, the Ampex ATR-102 master tape plugin, is available in native form and also as a Luna extension, but up until now you could only use it if you had one of the UAD accelerator cards or one of their interfaces. Not the case anymore. Now it's available for everybody. You can use it on any platform, any DAW, regardless the hardware. The crazy part is that it's on sale for $39 only, and the link is gonna be down below. Let's take a look at it. Hello everyone, welcome back to McSolaar TV. Hope you guys are having a great day. Before we start, check the info box down below for free plugins, special discounts and offers, of course, link to the UAD ATR-102. Visit the new website, MixPlusTV.com. In there you can find all the mix and mastering courses, a brand new one, producing and mixing vocals. This is the ultimate guide. In there you can also book mix and mastering with me, private lessons, mix consultations, and all the other services. If you want to access the exclusive videos here on YouTube, click the join button, become a MixPlus TV member, get all the perks. And if you haven't already, check out Bella Kelly's new single Video Felony, available on all platforms. The video is here on YouTube. Finally, if the videos are helping you, please consider using the super thanks or grab some merch. Let's get to the video. All right, while the plugin itself, it's not new, it's gonna be new for probably thousands of people out there, because like I said, now it's native, so regardless your hardware, regardless your DAW, your setup, you can have it. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people will agree with me when I say that the Ampex ATR-102 is definitely one of the best plugin UAD ever made. But because I'm sure a bunch of people are gonna get it, especially at this ridiculous price, we are gonna do an overview and I'll guide you through the functions, how to use it, my favorite settings, and so on. This is a faithful recreation of the Ampex ATR-102. Without a doubt, I think the most used master tape in the history. It would be easier to list the records that are not being made on this tape machine than the ones that are. And on one hand, this plugin is pretty straightforward. On the other hand, if you want to really use it to its full potential, it's pretty deep, and it's good to know all the functions and how they interact with each other, which is what I'm going to try to do for you today. We start with the penthouse here, where we have our VU meters, which are always linked with a switch that can show you the input level or the output level. Then we have two knobs, the record knob and the reproduce knob. Now, this is the first kind of quirky thing about this plugin. Usually in plugins, the input level comes first and the output level comes after, going left to right. But the plugin is laid out as the original machine, so the reproduce knob is basically your input knob, and the record knob is basically your output knob. So they are kind of switched in visuals. You have an auto gain switch, which, as you can see, it will compensate when you turn either of those two knobs, either the record or the reproduce. And you can click on either record or reproduce to set them to unity gain. You can see this red tape here. The red arrow sticker is basically the ideal operating level for this machine. This is if you actually open this panel and you have the auto calibration engaged, which is engaged by default. So this is important because this plugin really is closely emulating the original tape. So gain staging is everything. Go figure, right? The good news is that you have auto calibration and you have also reference level, the red arrow sticker. So that's the ideal level. Also a safe level. You can't go wrong with that, but from there you can tweak to taste. If you want more headroom, if you want more crunch, more color, we'll see there are many functions to fine tune all these things. You can also disengage the auto gain and you can tweak record and reproduce individually for creative purposes. In the closed configuration, these are the controls that we have. We can link and unlink the channels. Mind you, this is a master tape plugin. Although you can use it on groups, on single tracks, for special effects or adding extra color, this is the intended function. So either on your mix bus or for mastering. You can link and unlink left and right if you want to keep a wider stereo image, or if you want to tweak individually certain parameters, which we'll see when we open the extra control. Below we have two EQ curves called emphasis EQ, the NAB and the CCIR. These are two frequency responses, pre-EQs if you want to call it that way. Mind you that these emphasis EQ are only functioning if you have either 15 or 7.5 IPS settings for the tape speed, because 30 IPS, which is the flattest, the most transparent, and the most wide bandwidth, does not use these emphasis EQs, and the 3.75, the lo-fi settings, only has NAB available. In short, the NAB is basically the American sound, and the CCIR is known for being the British sound. Since we mentioned it, we have 4 different tape speeds: 30, 15, 7.5, and 3.75. Think of 30 being, like I said, the most transparent, the highest headroom, the less distortion, the less noise floor. And as you go down in speed, you add more color, more saturation, more distortion, and more natural compression, down to 3.75, which is really lo-fi, and you will hear it. It's more for special effects. 15 is usually the preferred for rock and aggressive genres because it has a hefty amount of saturation, a really nice low bump, but it's not too greedy, while 7.5 can definitely be a little too much for most genres, and 30 is preferred when you want a clean type of tape mastering, or you're working on jazz or something like that. One of the biggest thing and the biggest differences that you will hear when tweaking settings is the different formulas for the tape. We have several different popular formulas for tapes: the 256, 456, the 900, the GP9. This is for 30 and 15. When we go to 7.5, you can see changes. We have a 3590 and a 111, and so the same for 3.75. These are again for really lo-fi effect and really creative effects. You can put it on a return of a reverb or a delay, or if you want to crunch a vocal or parallel drums, any kind of effects like this. Then we have 4 different types of calibration: +3, +6, 7.5, and 9. This is self-explanatory. +6 is the default. You can then adjust for example, low level input, or if something is too hot and you want to adjust the calibration of the tape machine. And then we have 3 different heads. This is also extremely important. The 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch were native, so to speak, of the ATR-105, and then there was the most popular hot rod mod, which allowed to run the 1-inch tape. This has the more bandwidth, less distortion, more hi-fi, and so on. 4 different modes, so to speak. We have sync. This is the one I call the all-in. With this, you have the sound of direct tape recording and playback via the sync record head, plus all corresponding machine electronics. This is basically never used during playback because of its poor, so to speak, frequency response. Then we have the repro mode. This one gives you the sound of recording through the record head and playback through the reproduction head, plus all corresponding machine electronics. This we can say is the default most common mode. And then we have the input mode, which basically emulates the sound of the electronics, but without the sonics of the tape. So basically when the machine was in live mode, playback without the tape part. And then we have a through mode, which is basically a bypass. If we open the extended control, we have a bunch of extra features. We have crosstalk, which you can turn in and out. We have wow and flutter, self-explanatory. We have hiss and hum if you want to add that noise. I don't, but you can add it if you want. And then we have the emulation of the transformer, which was on board on the original machine. You can decide to take it off if you want a cleaner sound. And then we have the auto calibration button. This, again, self-explanatory, auto calibrates the levels for you. But if you want to manually calibrate, it goes deep. If you want to do it in the manual, it'll give you all the actual measurements if you want to calibrate by hand. I personally almost never found that I wanted to manually calibrate. Even with auto calibration, you can do crazy effects if you want, but if needed, you can disable that and really tweak, manually adjust all the levels and all the aspects at any stage. At the bottom, we have 2 sets of EQs for each channel, so 4. High frequency shelf, this is for the inputs. We can call it pre-emphasis if you want. Sometimes it's labeled like that. And then an EQ for the repro part, so the reproduction side of the machine, with low frequency and high frequency, very broad, to shape the tone, but also to counteract. For example, if you want to use the 15 IPS and you want color and you want the bump and it rolls off a little bit the top end, too much for your taste, you can give it back either in pre-emphasis with this EQ or in repro with the repro part. You also have a bias, self-explanatory. This adjusts the bias of the machine. And if you unlink, of course, you can adjust each channel individually. So this is the rundown of the controls. Without further ado, let's hear it in action. Let's hear how it sounds. I'm gonna start with default settings. The only thing I'm gonna take off is the wow and flutter. You can see the levels at the red sticker, 15 IPS, repro mode, NAB EQ, and let's try without first.
Let's go, heartbreak motel. There's no day you are the cross of bed. Let's go, heartbreak motel. There's no day you are. Heartbreak motel, burn to the ground. Had to do it now so you can come around. Heartbreak motel, burn to the ground. Had to do it now so you.
All right, so these are usually the first thing that you want to decide. What kind of head, 1 inch, half inch, quarter inch, and what kind of tape. And you hear immediately how much the sound changes going from half an inch to 1 inch. You have a more relaxed sound, I want to say, less tape saturation, less natural compression, but also less color, and we can say probably less bump at the low end. But for a song like this, it's probably what you want, especially if you're doing mastering. As we go down and we go to a quarter, we have a grittier sound, less bandwidth, but the one trick that a lot of people do with tape machines in general, and with this one in particular, and that's also why it starts at 15, it's because, especially with modern digital recording, we always fight against harshness and the top end being glassy, being too piercing, right? So we use a 15, and maybe a quarter inch for mastering is a little too much, but even a half, and then we compensate with the EQ. Let me show you that.
Let's go, heartbreak motel. There's no day you are the cross of bed. Let's go, heartbreak motel. There's no day you are. Heartbreak motel, burn to the ground. Had to do it now so you can come around. Heartbreak motel, burn to the ground. Had to do it now so you. Heartbreak motel, burn to the ground. Had to do it now so you can come around. Heartbreak motel, burn to the ground. Had to do it now so you can come around.
Right? So you notice one thing, that as soon as I touch any of the EQ down here, the auto calibration turns red, which means you're losing the auto calibration, which sets that part as well, okay? And so if you're going with one of the emphasis EQ button, it goes back to auto calibration, okay? So keep that in mind. If you're changing something like this, save it right before changing back to one of the emphasis EQ or pressing auto calibration, because if you move something and then you press it, it will go back to auto calibrate and we'll change that. But you hear, first of all, this plugin sounds really good. I love what it does to the mid-range, and that's something that I really like about, for example, my 542s. Yes, I love the low end bump, but what it does to the mid-range, it's pretty magical, and this gives me the same feeling, not necessarily being an emulation of that, because it's not, but it gives me the same organic feeling in the mid-range, and there's something added to the material that is really euphonic, for lack of a better word. But you can hear the different formulas, how much it changes the sound, and it's not just the extreme of bandwidth, usually, you know, top and bottom, you can hear that easily. Is the mid-range, is distortion, is the type of natural saturation that changes. And the more you push and the more material you try this on, the better you will understand the different types of formulas. For example, 1 inch on this track is cool because it gives me all the top end and everything. I definitely prefer 1.2 because it fits better the style and the track. I'm gonna play with the speed as well, and I'm gonna keep the 1/2 inch.
Of your hand, I'm running. There's nothing left to do. I'm running. There's nothing left to say. I'm running. There's nothing left to do. I'm running. I bring up you of your hand.
All right, at a 1/4 inch, you can definitely hear the differences in frequency response, where the 900, it's really dark, it's got a lot of low bump. And as we go, the 456 is open, the 250 is even more open, and the GP90's got this very peculiar mid-range. It's kind of not as dark as the 900. It's not as open as the other two, and it doesn't have the low bump that the 900, in this case a 1/4 inch, has, but it's got some. Okay, so it's really cool to play with them and find the one that works better for a given track. That's the beauty of this plugin. It really reacts to the material, and depending on the genre, depending what we are feeding, you will have to experiment with the different formulas to find the right one. Let's run something bass heavy.
Ain't no sunshine on this side of town. You could get lost and never be found. Fuck it, I'm a rider, and my fucking time's out, so I gotta make it. It's do or die now, and my soul is sainted. Should've been out by now, running out of patience, losing my mind now. Feel like I gotta watch my back, I'm in danger. Used to be homie, some changed up, hard working, not a sailor, just caked up. I made up my mind, I gotta get the bag. Shorty, I am not the one, so don't you get attached. And where I am from, it's like we never had. So if I gotta split, then I get the better half. And I just paint the picture, and I ain't never rap. Got my mind on my money, money on my mind, and these streets kinda funny. So I hang on to that 9, and my wrist looking lovely, but girl, you can't get my time, because time equal money is too easy to decide. I'm hungrier than ever, you could see it.
Right, notice something, formula in this setup, so 1/4 inch default calibration, the 456 formula, it sounds more open and more exciting at the top than the 30, right? This is because don't think that 15 it's always gonna be darker, it's always gonna be lower bandwidth. The 30 is gonna always be the more linear, right? So in this case, depending on what combination, you can find something like this. So pay attention, I'm just gonna change the tape speed from 30 to 15, you will hear 15 sound brighter.
Ain't no sunshine on this side of town. You could get lost and never be found. Fuck it, I'm a rider, till my fucking time's out, so I gotta make it. It's do or die now, and my soul is sainted. Should've been out by now, running out of patience, losing my mind now. Feel like I gotta watch my back, I'm in danger. Used to be homie, some changed up, hard working, not a sailor, just caked up. I made up my mind, I gotta get the bag.
Right, and it also obviously depends on the fact that when we switch to 15, you can see the emphasis EQ comes into play. And again, 15 might be my favorite 9 times out of 10, and then I'm probably gonna adjust the repro EQ or the pre-emphasis EQ. But this is kind of straightforward. If you wanna go deep into the settings, you can, and if you wanna run it even cleaner, but also with less saturation and less overall effect, if you put it in input mode, you're running the electronics of the machine without the tape sonics, and we can try that as well. So actually, we'll start bypass.
Ain't no sunshine on this side of town. You could get lost and never be found. Fuck it, I'm a rider, till my fucking time's out, so I gotta make it. It's do or die now, and my soul is sainted. Should've been out by now, running out of patience, losing my mind now. Feel like I gotta watch my back, I'm a danger. Used to be homie, some changed up, hard working, now they say look, just caked up. I made up my mind, I gotta get the.
Okay, you noticed something what I was trying to do really quick before switching tape, which recalibrated everything. You can run 15 for all the benefits. For example, I really love the low bump, and 30 doesn't really have that, okay, no matter what formula of tape we were using. But sometimes I don't want that added brightness, not because it sounds bad, but it's easy to fool yourself with a little more brightness. So what I like to do is to adjust the EQ and kind of match it to the 30, and so shave off a little bit of that added top end and then compare the two.
Ain't no sunshine on this side of town. You could get lost and never be found. Fuck it, I'ma ride out till my fucking time's out. So I gotta make it, it's do or die now. And my soul is sainted, should've been out by now. Running out of patience, losing my mind now. Feel like I gotta watch my back, I'm a danger. Used to be homie, some changed up, hard working, now they say.
All right, you can get pretty close, and so you have a better idea, or maybe again, you want a low bump, or you don't want to add the top end. You want to run it cleaner, you remove the transformer, and you heard when you put it in input, you only had the electronics, tape sonic, so a much more subtle color, but also a much less controllable color because you don't have all the other functions and all the other tweakable parameters when you put it in input. All right, let's try to push it a little bit.
Yo, snotty nose, catch karate blows like Johnny Bones. They be rushing to get your body home. Rocky fold, lock and load. It's off at the top of your dome like artichokes. These artists choke, can't stand this kind of smoke. Adios.
Que pasa, nasa, vámonos. Ya toca lado, I know y'all grinding dominoes. Y'all need to stop it and go stocking or go mop the flow. Rapido, I'm a capo, do tutti capi. You and I,
hey yo, face, let's put the heat on. These weak mouths with them key problems. Beat on these peons, till I see them holding up peace signs. Y'all better be wise and behave, cause these guys will be keeping stinging your retards like fucking with a beehive.
you never be able to see how can y'all deny? Shit, I was rhyming the beats when y'all were like knee high. Brody called me and he like, you got an hour of free time? I'm like, find me a beat and I'll probably body it each line.
Hey yo, snotty nose, catch karate blows like Johnny Bones. They be rushing to get your body home. Rocky fold, lock and load. It's off at the top of your dome like artichokes. These artists choke, can't stand this kind of smoke. Adios.
Que pasa, nasa, vámonos. Ya toca lado.
It sounds pretty awesome. I mean, I'm smiling. I love to drive it. I love to use a 1/2 inch, a 1/4 inch, and get a little more distortion and saturation that I should use on a full mix, and then compensate with a little bit of EQ. I just love it. It sounds really, really good. There is a reason because people love this plugin, always love this plugin from AUD. It really is one of their best. There's no doubt about it. Well, the good news is now you can have it native on any platform, no matter what hardware are you using, no matter what system are you using, and it's on sale for $39 only. The link is gonna be in the info box down below. If you guys like this video, please don't forget to leave a like, comment down below if you have questions. Visit the new website mixplustv.com to get all the mix and mastering courses. The new vocal production and mixing is out. You're gonna love that one. You can book mix and mastering with me in there and all the other services. If you want to access the exclusive videos here on YouTube, click the join button, become a MixPlus member, get all the perks. Check out Bella Kelly's new video single, Felony. Leave a comment, share, is much appreciated. If you want to support the channel, use a super thanks or grab some merch. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Stay safe. See you next time.